So Iran is the new missile superpower. The news is a mug, man. The headlines be having me rolling. You wanna know why? Fair use copyright, fair use copyright. I'm gonna watch this video and give my reaction because we've been telling people all along. Y'all already know you can't listen to everything Europe and America say because they news is biased. They're not gonna tell an impartial story. Partial. It's gonna be impartial according to what they think. But when you look at reality, it tells a whole nother story. This Iran cracked Israel. I've been watching about 10 videos like, wow, I was moved to pray for them. I'm like, man, Iran ain't playing no games. Now, if you listen to American news, us over here, which we do our due diligence and go beyond the news. That's what I'm watching. We on. This is it's a world news. Yeah, y'all want to play them games? Playing with the camera, okay? Anyway, fair use copyright, fair use copyright. Iran, the missile superpower. I don't listen to these people's news broadcast channels over here. I do my due diligence and search through world news so I can get accurate and up to the minute news, man. So I could piece this world puzzle together. Because if it's happening to them over there, family, America is the only nation I haven't seen getting cracked yet. So I pay attention to these things because it leads to something. These are America's best friends. This is Israel, and they are hit heavily, and their intelligence leaders being hit like what? And you can find that on several platforms. Information, family. I just don't listen to one sided news. When especially we've been trying to tell y'all, but it's just like Sister Celestial. Y'all laughed at her. She told y'all this was gonna happen, but we laughed at her. I didn't laugh at her. I prayed. I literally prayed for people and asked God's Spirit to come over this earth. So anybody that's connected to Him, He will open your eyes so you will see and you will know. A lot of y'all scared to tell these people the truth, but I bet you start telling them now. You ain't gonna have no choice because that's what's all. That's the only thing on the news. I turn the news. I haven't been able to really touch down on it like I wanted to, but man, family, I'm not just watching American news because that's confusion. I'm watching world news because these are the nations that we can heavily connected to, and as a result of certain moves being made, family, it ain't looking too good. And that side of the team, spiritually, you know what that means. I know they on swole over there like what? They over there blowing Israel up, fam. They man, Israel still blocking. They got their little defenses blocking some, but Iran, there you got the Houthis. And think about it. Now this nation got Europe and they got America. It's supposed to be superpowers. These two world superpowers, they are that. Okay, they world superpowers collectively. Yes, they are. But think about it. They can't save that nation from what's going on. It's a head up fight. Can nobody jump in that? They did that. They did that as a, and I think that was me personally. Honestly, I don't think that was a good call. Why would you do that? And you already in the midst of what you doing to Gaza. You got the world hot. The world hot. The best thing Israel could have did was pipe down. Stop messing with what's going on. Stop Palestine. What's going on with Palestine? Then they go off into blowing up Iran. Like, are you serious? They all in other places too now. They ain't the only places. There's a whole list of them over there in that area. In that area, and I'm like, how else can they do that without America sponsoring this shit, or, and to a much greater capacity than what we think? And they can't survive on them. Then Egypt still hard at them for what they doing up there on their border against Palestine. Like they just gonna waltz into Egypt like let us do what we doing what we want to do. Family. These people, and I'm listening to them, how they talking about the Messiah got hit, the leader of the Messiah got killed, and the way it was strategically planned, even the PM was there. And it didn't kill him, but family, that was a strategic hit. They talking about on the news like it's just regular news. No, that was strategic. You ain't gotta tell me. You got the leader of your intelligence agency, Mossad, and you got the prime minister going in, on a detail, on a military detail mission, and just so happened they got struck en route, or after they had landed there, one of the two. They got struck. The head of Mossad got killed. Family. And then they not only that, they also reportedly, now this is reportedly also, they destroyed their headquarters and killed like 1,000 of their intelligence officers. And I'm seeing the reporting of it from some of the families. I'm seeing the families there too. Like, man, look, what is this leader over there? What are they, their leaders, what are they thinking, family? Anyway, let's check this out. I want to hear what they're talking about, what this report is about. Because my point is, look, the Bible has come alive, prophecies are being fulfilled, and the nations that is this nation, the Medo Persian nation, which is Iran, a nation that was a nation that the Most High God used. He used them. So yeah, you got different people that came in, but think about it. There ain't no weak little sissy nation as Western nations would try to paint them out to be. If it don't, if it don't line up with what they say, they will deem it. That's the same thing like me explaining to people for years, man. Talking about gold lose value. Gold don't lose value in its foundation and what it is. Gold lose value on the European market and American markets. That's it. And whoever connected with them. However that market goes, that's how they gonna sway. But gold don't lose no damn value, and it's just not used as a medium of uh, bringing your reserves. Yeah, they bring gold to the table to cover the usage of their nation using dollars because dollar has no intricate value. People gonna learn gold has value. I don't need a financialist to tell me that. We know that. And we know they system play games. Manipulation is over. Truth is out.
The war is over, the guns have fallen silent. Israel and Iran both claim victory, both denying the costs, assessing the damage, and preparing for the next round. Iran is a
Ain't
powerful
winning
nation
nothing.
with an advanced military, but there's next to, to no doubt that the 12-day Iran-Israel war has reshaped power equations. Iran has now emerged as the new global missile superpower. An next report telling you more.
Wow.
In a dramatic escalation that has rattled military planners from Tel Aviv to Washington,
Wow.
Iran has unveiled and unleashed its so-called monster missile, a weapon that not only dwarfs its predecessors in sheer destructive power, but also signals Tehran's arrival as a true missile superpower. The Quran 4, Iran's latest and largest ballistic missile,
roared into headlines after being fired in a barrage targeting Israel moments after US airstrikes on
Mm.
Iranian nuclear sites. With a declared range of 2,000 kilometers and a staggering 1,500-kilogram warhead, this missile is built for impact and intimidation. But what truly sets it apart is its advanced payload, a dispersing warhead
Yes,
system capable of raining
disperses.
dozens of submunitions over a vast area,
That's what
saturating
they can't
targets and
stop.
overwhelming even the most sophisticated missile defenses.
Exactly.
This missile reportedly released a deadly shower of bomblets that pounded military and infrastructure targets across a 6-kilometer radius in Haifa and Tel Aviv, including the Ben Gurion Airport and critical command centers. The monster missile operates at
Multi-warhead
blistering
mess.
speeds, reaching up to Mach 8 within
Mm,
the
mm,
atmosphere,
mm,
and can be launched from mobile platforms, making it a nightmare to track and intercept.
mm.
With this weapon, Iran has not only shattered the illusion of Israeli invulnerability, but has also redrawn the balance of power in the region. As the dust settles, one thing is clear. The monster missile has made Iran a force to be reckoned with in the
The
world since its
monster
birth.
Mr. Iran is a beast.
We
You playing
report,
them games,
we run,
Iran
there
ain't.
is none.
That's why I watch world news so I can get a worldly, a balanced view. And then it also lets me know, be on my P's and Q's over here, because ain't no telling it might, ain't no telling where this shit gonna lead to. They just destroying Israel over there.
The guns
Shit,
have
they
gone
might get
silent and a
froggy and meet
ceasefire is
their ass over
looming.
here.
But beneath all this, tensions remain between Iran and the United States of America, between Iran and Israel, and across West Asia. I say this because reports suggest that Washington has been quietly building up its military infrastructure in the region, preparing for any future conflict with Iran.
Hmm.
According to the New York Times, long before the latest US strikes on Iranian nuclear sites and Tehran's retaliatory missile attack, satellite images from early 2022 showed the first signs of a new American base. This base we're talking about is located about 20 miles inland from South.
Iran fuck around and shut them playing them games. If it's on the news, I always said that. Now that part of going to war, I respect with Trump. Why in the hell will I get on the news telling y'all our next move or what we're planning? And I'm not telling you shit. You gonna see it when it happens. You, I'm not telling y'all shit. Now Israel with all that boasting and run off out your mouth, shit, that ain't standing home. I ran and showed y'all this ain't that. They know I ran.
Areas Red Sea coast. The report says its early existence hinted at what US military planners had long considered a possible direct war with Iran. And for that, Washington needs more than just warplanes or naval power. The New York Times says that this base, known as Logistical Support Area Jenkins, is being manufactured as a major supply logistics hub located farther from Iran than most existing American bases, which means it is less vulnerable to attack. Until last year, the base reportedly remained mostly unused, but over the past year, it is said to have been expanded rapidly. Upgrades include new ammunition storage facilities, troop housing, and even enhanced security. While it's unclear if the base was used in last week's strikes, the report says it is likely to be crucial if the US enters into a full blown war with Iran or any of its proxies in the region. Remember, the US already has several bases across West Asia, from small outposts in Syria and Iraq to massive installations housing aircraft and naval ships. In 2021, the Pentagon had plans to make bases along the Red Sea in a bid to service all these installations in West Asia.
Mr.
According
Reed,
to the
see,
report,
you know,
the
damn
idea
Red
was to
Sea.
move some US military infrastructure outside Iran's missile and
No,
drone
y'all
ranges.
need to read
And
history.
this base could also support operations against Houthi militants in Yemen. According to military experts, most US bases along the Persian Gulf are within range of short range Iranian missiles. In fact, we saw this on Monday when Iran targeted the Al Udeid air base in Qatar. Of course, the missiles were intercepted, and so targeting bases on Saudi Arabia's west coast would require Iran to use medium range missiles, which are less accurate and reliable, and longer flight times reportedly give US defenses a better chance to intercept the incoming missiles. Not just that, it also gives troops more time to take cover. However, the report notes that LSA Jenkins base is still vulnerable to Houthi attacks from Yemen. The Yemen-based group has previously targeted American Navy ships in the Red Sea with missiles and drones. And here's how this base is growing. When constructed in 2022, it was backed on just two paved areas with some empty bunkers. By early 2024, satellite images reportedly showed shipping containers and tents and military exercises there, which revealed a bare bones facility of dirt roads and barbed wire. But the new satellite imagery reportedly shows transformation. Dozens of new structures, vehicles, paved roads, and expanded ammunition storage site, as well as white boxes stacked in rows that match naval missile canister dimensions. Government contracts also reveal more than $3 million spent since early 2024 on supplies, vehicles, and tents for the base. There's more. Social media videos show that the US Army logistics units are working to get the site operational. According to the report, two more logistical sites have been built, that's in Cardiff and Jeddah, that is in western Saudi Arabia. They are smaller than LSA Jenkins, mainly used for munitions and fuel storage, with some paved areas that could host living quarters and air defense systems as well. The New York Times says that the plans are underway for an even larger installation at LSA Jenkins, including additions to a nearby airport, vehicle maintenance areas, more storage, and the Pentagon backs US President Donald Trump's view that the US strikes on Iran's nuclear sites caused severe damage. The US denies that Iran moved its highly enriched uranium before the strike on the Midnight Hammer. But lingering questions remain. It appears now that the uranium could be hidden at a nuclear site so secret, so deeply buried, that it may be untouchable even by bunker buster bombs. Our next report.
A jaw-dropping video, the terrifying power of bunker buster bombs. The Pentagon showcased the power of its massive ordnance perpetrator during a detailed briefing on the strikes against Iran's nuclear program. A mountain of secrets rises in Iran's heartland, and the world's most powerful bombs may not be enough to track it. As the dust settles from the largest US Israeli air campaign in decades, intelligence agencies are sounding the alarm. Iran's nuclear ambitions are not buried, they're burrowing deeper than ever, shielded beneath a fortress of rock that even America's bunker
I
busters
could believe
cannot
that.
reach. Experts now believe Iran might have secretly moved its highly enriched uranium to a super fortified clandestine site known as Kur-e-Golan Gazla or Pickaxe Mountain. This secret site near Natanz sits almost a mile above sea level, allowing for underground chambers to be excavated to an astonishing depth, potentially twice that of Fordo. The timing is critical. Just days before the US strikes, satellite imagery reportedly showed suspicious vehicle activity around Fordo, hinting at a frantic relocation, while White House officials have vehemently denied that any uranium was moved.
So we were watching closely, and there was no indication to the United States that any of that enriched uranium was moved prior to the strike.
Experts and some European intelligence sources suggest otherwise, fueling fears that Iran's crucial 408.6 kilogram stockpile of 60% enriched uranium, enough for 9 nuclear bombs, was already spirited away to this deeper, untargetable layer. Bureau Report Beyond What is One.
The United States has raised new concerns about China's fast-growing military activity in space. According to senior American defense officials, China is expanding its space war capabilities at a speed that Washington finds very concerning. General Stephen Whiting,
The
the
mind all
top commander of the
goddamn
US Space Force,
business.
says that Beijing is using space to complete what's called a kill chain. It's a step-by-step procedure to find, track, and strike enemy targets. The US, China, and Russia are locked in a tight race to control the next frontier of war, space. Last month, China and Russia signed a memorandum to build a nuclear plant on the moon in a bid to power a lunar station by 2036. US has also reportedly started sharing intelligence with the UK and other Five Eyes nations, including classified information on Chinese and Russian space activity. And the US is also moving forward with the Golden Dome project. It is a $175 billion plan to build a satellite network that can detect and destroy incoming missiles towards the US by 2029. Now, this Golden Dome idea was unveiled by Trump back in May. The top commander of the US Space Force outlined three major areas where China is advancing quickly. According to him, the first is space-based targeting systems that can locate and follow US and allied forces in the Indo-Pacific. Now, these systems, he says, will allow China to carry out long-range precision attacks far beyond its borders. According to the US Space Force, by the end of 2024, China had over 500 satellites in orbit with intelligence, reconnaissance, and surveillance capabilities. And of the 260 satellites China sent up just last year, more than 60 were designed for military observation. Back in February, Chinese scientists had
What y'all
reportedly
expect
built a
them to do?
satellite tracking camera
Nobody
so
gotta listen to no
powerful that
damn
it
American
can
tell them
capture
what to do.
detailed images from more than 100 kilometers away. A level of detail 100 times better as compared to what can be seen with spy cameras and telescopes that use lenses. Now, the second concern. According to the US Space Force commander, it is China developing anti-satellite weapons. Now, these include
Duh.
lasers, missiles, and even satellites designed to attack other satellites.
Duh.
China has also built technology to jam GPS signals and satellite communication links. China can reportedly launch missiles from Earth to take out satellites in space, and it has tested such weapons multiple times over the past 20 years. Back in March, a top US Space Force commander said that China was seen conducting coordinated maneuvers with its satellites, practicing close-range satellite maneuvers, movements that look like China is training for space-based combat. The third major worry, according to the US general, is China's growing ability to connect its space technology with its army, navy, and air force, perhaps making China's military more accurate, deadlier, and able to reach targets farther away. In 2016, China restructured its military focus more on space, with the PLA adding a military aerospace unit, and in April 2024, China divided the branch into three, which is an aerospace force, a cyberspace army, and an information space support unit. While the US still leads in the number of satellites with around 8,000 in space, both China and US reportedly have roughly the same number of military satellites, around 250 each. Top US military officials warned that the gap in space power between America and China has narrowed sharply, adding that if the US does not act fast, they fear China could soon overtake America in space warfare. In April, the head of US operations for the US Space Force warned that China has already mastered advanced space weapons like directed energy and radio frequency attacks that pose a major danger to US operations in space. As the space race heats up, top American generals are increasingly voicing concern that America's long-time advantage beyond Earth just may be slipping away, with China all ready to fill the vacuum. Let's now tell you what else is landed for you on the show tonight.
That's it.
We will
That's
tell you
all,
how the
folks.
MI6 chief's controversial family past, revelations surfacing from German wartime archives, identifying her paternal grandfather as a Nazi collaborator.
Y'all surprised. M16.
As are planning to leave New York after Zoran Mamdani's victory in the Beirut final.
Oh wow. He said if that's the one said if Netanyahu coming out, he gonna arrest him.
Amazing period of time this last hour. There are people elated all over the country. I've seen such happiness and spirit. Sometimes you don't see that, but this case is very important. I was elected on a historic mandate. Over the recent months, we've seen a handful of radical left judges effectively try to overrule the rightful powers of the president to stop the American people from getting the policies that they voted for in record numbers. It was a grave threat to democracy, frankly, and instead of merely ruling on the immediate cases before them, these judges have attempted to dictate the law for the entire nation. In practice, this meant that if any one of the nearly 700 federal judges disagreed with the policy of the duly elected President of the United States, he or she could block that policy from going into effect or at least delay it for many years, tied up in the court system. This was a colossal abuse of power which never occurred in American history prior to recent decades, and we've been hit with more nationwide injunctions than were issued in the entire 20th century together. Think of it, more than the entire 20th century, me. And I'm grateful to the Supreme Court for stepping in and solving this very, very big and complex problem, and they've made it very
That's
simple.
with Trump.
I want to thank Justice Barrett, who wrote the opinion brilliantly, as well as Chief Justice Roberts, and Justices Alito, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Thomas. Great people. Thanks for this decision, and thanks
Trump
to
man.
this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with numerous policies that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis. And some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore. That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation.
That's true.
This was, in fact, it was the same date, the exact same date, the end of the Civil War. It was meant for the babies of slaves, and it's so clean and so obvious. But this lets us go there and finally win that case, because hundreds of thousands of people are pouring into our country under birthright citizenship, and it wasn't meant for that reason. It was meant for the babies of slaves. So,
Yes, it was. That's a fact.
Wait,
People need to learn their history. Y'all listen to these fucking politicians. You better go read a book. Some of them ain't reading. They don't know. I don't give a shit what they tell you. Go and read. You better read the 13th Amendment. Read the 14th Amendment. Read the, we just celebrated Juneteenth. It was 1853. They need to fucking tell you. While y'all talking about politics and all that, that's why I don't get into all that, because they crooked as hell. I ain't got time. Back to the show.
can now properly file to proceed with
Emancipation Proclamation.
those that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis, including birthright citizenship, ending Sanctuary City Park.
And what they make of it, I don't have nothing against whatever they made of it. I'm talking about the actual fact of the matter. A lot of people gonna talk shit when you say, "Oh, that doesn't apply to children born here." So what, you just get rid of them? No, I'm talking about the law. I'm talking about what does the law state, and what is it found? What is it state, and what was it founded on? What was the reason for its founding? It was during the time of Reconstruction. They wanted to make those that they enslaved part of the system now, and not just as being enslaved, but want to now add you as citizens, according to the 3/5 clause. A lot of people don't know that. They said we was 3/5 of a human. We're trying to figure a way to add us in their respective territories where our ancestors were. It's a fact. But we know the Emancipation Proclamation came about during that Reconstruction era because of the bravery our ancestors showed, and they fought with them, alongside of them down there. You know what I'm saying? And North and South. That's crazy. Brother fought against brother. They want to tell you it's to end slavery. That's bullshit. He just used that term. That law was for the birthright law. Was for, he said, slaves. They weren't slaves. They were enslaved by wicked people. It's just a fact of the matter, you know. You know, some wicked ass hearted people who enslaved our ancestors. Then they don't even want you to hear about the history of it. Like, then you got those that look like us, but I'm not so sure if they are us these days because of their spirit. We don't deny the truth, family. We don't wallow in it and use it as a badge of for you to give me something. Hell no. That's for your ass to repent so you can turn from your wicked ass ways. Even some of our people, the deniers, they like promised land rejects. They tried to remember, they denied most. They denied the truth. And look what happened. They rejected going into the promised land, subduing the enemy by the power of the Holy Spirit, of the Spirit of the I am that's in you already. Who shall rouse them up? When things happen, you see it takes motion. But you gotta have a foundation, family. Foundation is truth. We are God's people, and that's my playbook, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Anything that seeks to raise its head against that, I pray against it, and I move as such. Spiritual war. We have to subdue the enemy. It's not for everybody, because everybody's not chosen. Many are called, though. You can come in, but he has a chosen people that's designed specifically for this. I assure you, it has nothing to do with Christian religion or any other religion that reads the Bible. It has solely to do with this people, the Shemitic bloodline, the Shemites. And right now, the ball is in Jacob's corner. Jacob's bones with his 12 sons. And through them, all nations shall be blessed. Yeah, yeah. Read Genesis 28. Yeah. And what was I reading about? Okay. One of the brothers one of the rabbis was talking about, he made a statement. Well, he asked the question, was Africa the land of, known as the land of bondage, slavery? Was Egypt? And he presented a presentation from Brother Zion Legs, which is also a rabbi. He's one of the rabbis in the Hebrew Israelite community and culture. And I'm saying, okay, read Genesis 46 for the Most High. But not only Most High did he call Jacob to go down into Egypt and told him there he would be made of a great nation. But then we know why our ancestors ended up in bondage the way they did while in there. Because of another king, not an son of Egypt, but of Canaan. I believe he was an Amorite king. I believe he was an Amorite. But I know he's from the sons of Canaan, one of the Canaanites. I believe he was an Amorite. Read about King Maclamine. Read about it. I mean, information been out there years ago. I remember there were a couple brothers and sisters that brought that out. Because a lot of people like to bring that up. Like, they already went in slavery. No, they didn't. They were, yes, made to serve bondage under a Canaanite king that took over Egypt. And it became a house of bondage to our people. Yes, so yes, that is in the history. To Zion Lex's argument and to Rabbi Atwi, to his argument, is not than it is. We know the Father said he would use that nation. He even told him, Pharaoh, he moved Pharaoh's heart to send wagons. Not just Joseph, but Pharaoh sent wagons for Jacob and his 11 sons and their wives and children. Remember, Joseph was ruling in Egypt at the time. That's the 12th son. 12 tribes of Israel. And they were made a great nation. But at the end of their run, think about it. There was another king that came in and said, come, let's deal wisely with them. Before it gets to we go in war and they roll with the ones we're at war with. Let's get them up out of here. Let's treat them, and then we're going, we treat them, but that wind up becoming a part of the process too. And the thing they did was made them to go into hard bondage. Man, it was bad. And it's reminiscent of what you're seeing now. It's like the book is being played out. Ain't no other playbook they can play. But to pervert what's that good and perfect will, if they can, but I doubt it. We woke now. We done took the reins. We done took the Torah. The light is shining. You did? And we pointing people to the Messiah. Well, ain't nobody. True Hebrew Israelites, let me tell you something. Hebrews that's a bloodline. The fact that you're Israelites, you were chosen by God. Genesis 32, the father of the 12 tribes was chosen. Because why? The father of the Shemitic people, the bloodline, that bloodline was chosen, which was Noah's son. And Noah made reference of it. You have to read Genesis 9. Noah made reference of it. Bless the Lord God of Shem. Why? Because he's the creator of all the worlds. He's the true and living God. You know? For real, in real time, even right now, it's not a fairy tale. The Bible is the realest and only book on this earth. I'll put it against any book. Not based on their interpretation, but based on the Hebrew. The culture. The culture of that language speaks a whole different context than what they taught us. I assure you. These preachers don't know what they're talking about, and they dare to touch the ancient way. Go into Paleo. That's an Afro-Asiatic language, so it connects you to Africa. Listen to it, Afro-Asiatic. The Negro is the Asiatic. Ham is Afro is Hamite, the Hamites. And these are two people. Joseph, think about it, was ruling in Egypt, a son of Israel. I had enough of Trump. I don't want to hear no more of that. America's being judged. The Most High said in that nation whom the children of Israel in this day and time they shall serve. He will judge. He said they will go in captivity. They will serve them for 400 years. Genesis 46 tells us they didn't go in there for no 400 years to serve them. They sent in there. They were sent in there to become to be made a great nation. Abraham Traore to step down and kill. What? ECOWAS, Africa, a motherfucker. They would say that. Ontario cuts off electricity. I told people. We haven't seen, my man just lost his, they cut my guy check off. I'm like, people not paying attention. A lot of that stuff, Doge cut, recommended being cut, those policies and programs, well, they're now, a lot of people are starting to feel it, family. They know they're starting to feel it, they see it, they know it, and it's sad. My man looking like he done been out there in the wilderness with Moses. I'm like, dang, bro, what's wrong? Man, they cut my check off. What the? Well, he's already working 2 jobs, but I'm like, did he realize if he get a check from any of those jobs, they gonna cut his ass off? They looking for anything. I swear they looking for anything to cut you. They already done cut the money, so it's just a matter of putting a face on it so they can justify it. It can add up at the end of the day. It's an account to them. Now let's put a face on it so we can justify what we're doing, what we're cutting here. And if you got anything out of order, you already know. They gonna cut your ass off. I'm like, wow. That's why he working at this one job. He was working part-time. And it seemed like he around that thing like 24/7. I'm like, damn. And he's still complaining. Then he got his truck. Somebody ran into his truck. I'm like, the worst. When it rains, it pours. But that would make me stop. It's something that's, I don't know. It's something. You don't have to repent or consecrate yourself and go to the Most High and seek Him while doing things you know that's going to turn your situation around. Brothers, you have knowledge that you can use that's of value. You may be a plumber, you may be an electrician, you may be an automotive technician, you may have a trade skill that you learned in high school, or that you decide to go to a school of profession, alternative school after you graduated. An accredited school, so-called accredited school. The only thing that's gonna make that education, that knowledge accredited is if I can take it and turn around and use it. And trust me, I'm a quintessential user of that information on a daily. What they tell you can't do, I make them eat that shit. All the stuff y'all done seen my videos, y'all hear it. I take nothing and use it because it's of value and turn it into something. Tel Aviv is completely destroyed. Yeah, it is, man. That's sad. I looked at that man looking at all them all Iran caused this oil shortage in Israel. Yeah. Wow. Key refinery hit by missiles. Wow. Look at that. You take the oil, ain't no planes, ain't no army tanks, ain't no army vehicles. Where you gonna get the oil from? Ain't no shipments coming in because the Houthis cracking the waters. Whatever's coming across the water, they just hit one of their little major airports. So that's crazy. Iran, this is happening now. Iran launches missile strikes on U.S. base in Qatar. Oh, that's old. Doha in flames. That's old. Israel getting cracked. What they got to do? What are you talking about? Fair use copyright. Fair use copyright. Let's see what they talking about. Oh yeah, they got a business platform, Cash App, which I had to one of the brothers put me up on game, but it's gonna be because you have to start an LLC or whatever business platform you choose to use. You're gonna have to pay for it. And I'm like, I ain't had the money right then and there. But now my eyes been open to what type of platform I should use. I'm not just gonna use no any platform. That's out. I want one where it's less taxes, less to no taxes. I've been doing some studying, and I'm gonna put it to the test, see if it work. If it work, you gonna know. You already seen this, but that's crazy. Look at Israel. Wow. You gonna have a lot of cleaning up to do from all that destruction I seen. It's steady happening. It's gonna take more than that. Troy speaks to the world. That's my man, they. Trump, Fannie Mae issues warning. Mortgage rates will skyrocket for years. Yeah.
It's very sad the way people act. You have a guy with a stroke of a pen could lower interest rates and save us hundreds of billions of dollars a year.
Look at this. Half of Israel is flat.
Come on.
Dang.
Telephone defeat, June 22nd, 2025. The Israeli government confirmed that an Iranian long-range ballistic missile, the Sejil, had directly hit the center of Tel Aviv in the morning local time.
Trump on with this power.
Very sad the way people act. You have
fair use copyright. Fair use copyright. Let's see what he said.
It's very sad the way people act.
Oh, this is my channel, y'all. On station. Real estate.
Interest rates and save us hundreds of billions of dollars a year.
That there's going to be a retest of the lows. They're absolutely wrong.
Y'all
Charles,
better
it's
pay
going to
attention.
feel like the back half of 09 or the back half of 2020.
Pay attention, family.
People rushing and reaching
It's crazy.
performance. It's going to get crazy in the back
Yeah, it's
half.
gonna get ugly.
Breaking news as mortgage giant Fannie Mae issues a warning that residential mortgage rates are naturally going to skyrocket, reversing their original expectations that mortgage rates would be and stay in the 5% range throughout this year of 2025. Now, they go on to explain that they didn't expect mortgage rates to go up at the same time that the Federal Reserve
grind, get it where you can.
But the big question is,
Things are changing
why did our
fast.
consumer rates go up at the same time that the federal funds rate, or what I like to call the banker's rate, go down? Well, we're going to answer that question, and on top of that, we're also going to remind you guys what the current administration is saying that they want to do, which is even more quantitative easing by purchasing the 10-year treasury to artificially drive interest rates down. And I want to be clear, I believe, in my opinion, that it's a high probability that we're in this situation because they already artificially lowered interest rates and for far too long. Before we go into this, happy Sunday, Midwestern, sir. How are you today?
Well, the temperatures here in Texas are getting a little toasty. Other than that, it's kind of like the economy.
Yeah, it's toasty as hell. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings to be aware, to be alive. Man, you can't say really. You can save up and learn, look at things that don't lose value to invest in. This stuff is going to affect the dollar. If it affects our security, it's going to affect the dollar. And then it's going to have an offset in the financial market and stocks and homes. Look at this. Exactly like he's saying, this current political climate is quite detrimental to financial markets in the different sectors. Shit. Yeah, you're going to keep revising. It's too much uncertainty, family. Too dependent on outside sources.
Although mortgage rates were expected to steadily decline, shifting Fed policy stubborn inflation, trade wars.
Family, you can never go wrong empowering the people. Give the people the tools they need. People that have businesses, give them the tools they need. You ain't got to give them no money. Ensure the tools, ensure the facilities. You got a lot of empty facilities. America has a lot of empty property. What the fuck? We can put that property to work. That will create a tax flow. The politicians can grease their pockets. I can care less. You take your taxes, I take my bread, and we eat. And we can build these things, work these avenues. If you can prove you can do it, give it to us for a year. Prove going there and turn it into something. Tools and all. The hell? The people can make shit happen, but we too dependent on somebody else to do what we can do. Like, I don't get on like that. It's time to change that narrative. You see what Burkina Faso doing, they doing it. And look at the return. Every sector in that nation is turning. And they are becoming very prosperous and successful. Agriculture, infrastructure. They're building the buildings to processing plants. They have the machinery for planting, extracting. They're educating. They bringing in scientists to educate. They're bringing in. They opening schools, making deals with other nations to learn about science, technology, to harness their technology. They are harnessing technology like no other nation. They got TVs without power cords, cars that are regenerative. They are recharging themselves as they're going along. This ain't no make believe stuff. This ain't no, this ain't make believe. Look it up. South Africa. The same guy who invented the car that charges itself, he also invented the TV that they use without a plug. Power, so it's power without a plug. It's power through frequency. They found a way to harness frequency from it. Africa is that go yo. When I read the Bible and God planted the man eastward of Eden, that's East Africa. Africa is the Garden of Eden. He planted us eastward in Eden, eastward of Eden, and that was Africa. Straight up, think about it. I done thought about it 5, 10, 20 different ways. And I'm like, because that's the land of milk and honey. If you want any land, that little strip of land, get out of here. It's going to take outside sources to come in to help to rebuild it. Outside supplies. They don't have the necessities they need in, internally, naturally, growing naturally. Recession is forcing millions into eviction. Don't nobody pay attention to that. And shout out to the realtors who making them sales. But on the flip end, look what the people is. People who buying homes, $3,000 mortgages jumping to $7,000 a month mortgages. That ain't no prize. They don't have, first of all, they don't have the foundation to sustain themselves, or they seem like they stuck and they can't create. They don't have no vision. You have to get creative. You have to come out of the matrix. You can't stay in the box. Because if you're projecting, you're sitting there and you're trying to fix the situation and you're projecting how things are going to look, and it's based on a system that's failing, which stems from, like we've been trying to tell y'all, this nation is under judgment. You think it's resilient. Oh, America's resilient. It's going to bounce back. I can't tell everything that you need as far as natural minerals and resources to sustain you, where the nations are decoupling. Why is that? Come on, man. Y'all better wake up. They leaving us for a reason. I think it's more biblical. Genesis 15 is on this nation. And not just this nation, but wherever our people have been scattered into. From then up until now. Because we are in the fourth generation. That's us, pal. It plays out too perfect. It plays out too perfectly, family. I'm not listening to y'all. You better look, listen, and learn. Evictions. Yeah, they buying homes at extremely high rates, interest rates, and taxation. Just to get the loan, think about the interest rates on that money. In this day and time with all this corporate uncertainty, you know the bank's gonna jack it up. If they able to eat off of it, they're gonna jack it up for extra security. You know, you got a lot of people that's getting them up. Yeah, we successful on one end, but on the back end, people not really counting the costs. They depending on these jobs, and not many people haven't seen this gentleman here, Orlando Minor. Check him out. Fair use copyright. Fair use copyright. Check his videos out. He's been highlighting the sectors that people that's in good paying jobs, that you thought would be around that would be able to secure themselves even in the midst. But it's been a lot of uncertainty, which the nation has been able to really cover up if you think about it. America is good with projections. They don't deal in reality, they deal in perception. Projections. Okay, if we continue to move at this rate, it's only gonna grow stronger, and we can project based on products and movability of these products that this is what we can turn this company into. And from here and every year after, these are our projected sales, and this is what this company will be worth. Now we have to hit the ground and put our boots to the ground and make it move. Politics is a mother, but compared to Africa, Africa got the diamonds, Africa got the oil, Africa got the gold, Africa got the cobalt, Africa got the lithium, Africa got the uranium, Africa got the soursop and other melanins, cantaloupes, watermelons, all the melons almost. It has the herbs, the natural healing herbs, the Genesis, chapter 1, verse 2. That's why it's important that we have fruit that has seeds in it. I know y'all steady cutting my line here, but that's cool. To each his own. I ain't mad at you. Y'all don't want to see Wayne grow. I'm already in the streets. I'm everywhere. So, gee, stop playing with me. Yeah, Iran, they shocked the world. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings. 6% crash coming, but yeah, put $50 here before Iran crisis crash. Man, the only thing I'm putting money in is gold. Because y'all are the ones telling people to invest in woody woody woo. But based on this uncertainty that's we see because of all this war and people pulling out of countries where they once backed these countries in these programs and projects that a lot of us are attached to. I tell you, a lot of people are really in this day and time losing their jobs, fam. A lot of people. So that means they're losing their security. A lot of people may have children. If their children in daycare, they're losing that income. Man, if you're dependent on the system, everything you got is tied to the system. You don't have it. This is not a scare tactic, but this is a wake up call to pay attention to what's going on and do some assessing and readjusting. Meaning, you could look to other things that carry value that don't lose value to invest in. Make that your asset so you won't lose during this purge. They say it's a transfer of wealth. Yeah, if you holding on to something and it's connected to a system that you know it has no value and is losing its value because of um its dealings with others and people are tired of them, and it's not like they're gonna change their mind tomorrow and say, oh, okay, I think they learned their lesson, because we haven't learned no lesson. We haven't humbled ourselves. We still speak arrogantly. We're the greatest nation here or there. We're the greatest at this and that. We're the greatest, greatest, greatest. There's only one that's great, and that's Yahuwah, the Creator, the true and living God. One true and living God, the Elohim of Israel, the real Israel. And with that, shalom, family.